then go to that one right there. All right, and I'm picking up about halfway through. We did a little bit with New York. All right, so we got a couple of more things to say about New York right here. And so I'll hit presentation and we'll get rolling with it. All right. Well, we've got Wall Street that we know about in New York City. All right, it was built at the time. It was, during colonial times, and it was built literally a wall, which was built against Indian attack. All right, and so the wall was built around Manhattan Island, and so we get Wall Street from that period. All right, the Dutch pushed the Swedes out. The guy in charge of New Netherlands under the Dutch was this guy Stuyvesant right here. But when the British come,
Disha Patel, Owen and Colton Williams, Reagan Moorhead, Michelle Hutanda and Eduardo Hutando, and Emily Driscoll. You are free to leave the building.
Good. When the British come in, they're led by James, the Duke of York. He's going to go on to be James II. He's going to end up being King of England. And the Dutch don't fight back. Stuyvesant was a military man. He wanted to fight back, but he couldn't find people that were willing to fight with him. The Dutch were kind of busy doing business with each other, hadn't made military preparations. In addition, the British kind of agreed to keep the same kind of colony, a business-oriented, economically trade kind of oriented colony. So the Dutch the Dutch in the colony were just kind of willing to live with it. And so you have a Dutch takeover, a British takeover without much in the way of Dutch resistance. Right? So the ownership of the colony changes. The character of the colony really doesn't. It remains a trading place, and the New York, in some ways, if you did a little Venn diagram, is the opposite of Massachusetts. Now, what about Massachusetts' political system impresses us? What do they do when they want to solve problems?
The town hall.
Yeah, the town meetings. So they have those town meetings. Somebody accuses somebody else of stealing a cow, and they settle it right then. So it's really, really democracy in action. But they're in no way tolerant at all, so you better believe just the way the Puritans believed. Here it's just the opposite. They're very tolerant, but money flows best in a very orderly environment, so they didn't make any attempt to be democratic. Average folks didn't have a lot of political power and very much of a top-down governmental system. So kind of the flip side in terms of democracy and tolerance from Massachusetts Bay. All right. Let's see. All right. Hey, we got all that. Don't copy that again. Here's some Dutch contributions. So here's what we have from the Dutch. These are all Dutch words. So Haarlem and Brooklyn, both named after the Dutch. Easter eggs. That practice was a Dutch practice. We get Santa Claus from the Dutch. Waffles. And then a bunch of sports: bowling, skating, sleighing, and golf. There's a Dutch imprint on New York.
From the office to check out at this time: Simon Williams, Melanie Brooke Fowler, Celeste Howe, and Jella McClure.
All right. So how many did I have? 10 words or one? May not be. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So 9 Dutch contributions rather than 10. All right, but the name of 2 of the places there. Okay. Let's see what we have here. That's the same one. Okay. Hey, turn to, I don't think we said anything much in the way. Yeah, we did. All right. Turn to each other and tell each other about it. All right. Take about 30 seconds to tell each other about it.
There wasn't much democracy. That was uneffective. It was very diverse. That was effective.
judge competitions, the sports, and in Harlem.
Dutch, the new name was New York.
Yeah, see if you go all nine. You know, that's something kind of. Well, there's people around.
Easter eggs.
With the following students, please report to the main office to check out. Hayden Charles, Aaron Mendez, Alfredo Brito, and Guillermo Brito. And if I could also have Jalen Fernandez.
Alright, so somebody might say, oh my gosh, I can't possibly remember all 9 of those things. However, let's start grouping them together. So you got 2 places, right? Harlem and Brooklyn. You've got 2 foods, Easter eggs and waffles, a person, and then 4 sports. Alright, so 2 and 2, 1, and the sports. Alright, so come back down. And now I would, for coming to class, in addition to the little singers, you definitely deserve a Jolly Rancher. The problem is, I looked inside my bag today and I had 3 Jolly Ranchers. The 4th one is in the bag, is not in a bag, and it's stuck to like one of them. So the Jolly Ranchers are in kind of bad shape today. So I've written a note on my hand to go get some Jolly Ranchers. Now, should you get absolutely, so you go, dang it, I can't find someone dang Jolly Rancher, and I run out of. There's probably some 3 or 4 year old Jolly Ranchers down there at the bottom of all the crap. So if you get really, we can do a search.
Luke Eden.
Okay. Let's see. So let's start here. We'll start answering. We'll go group method on the big ones, and then when we get down here, we'll go down the road. Whoever lands on number 10 gets a chance to get all of them. All right. Here we go. The good thing about them is what?
Caitlin Cherry.
The diversity. The bad thing about them is what? The undemocratic stuff. What got built to keep the Indians out? All right. What did they get really cheap from the Indians? Manhattan. Really good land deal. All right. What's the name of the guy who's their fighting guy? Stuyvesant. I think looks like Stuyvesant. Stuyvesant, I think is pronunciation. All right, who comes and takes the place over? James the Duke of York. All right, so it gets renamed New York. All right, here we go. We'll start right here. Whoever's number 10 gets the chance for the first Jolly Rancher. All right, tell me something we get from the Dutch. Skate. All right, bowling. Well, oh man, now I'm nervous. I would stay with the sports. All right, but we got waffles. All right, so we got 2 and 1. All right, go ahead. Golf. All right. Oh my goodness. All right, so we have 5. All right, go. Santa Claus. All right, go ahead. Brooklyn. So the places are out. Sleigh. We got 2 sports. The person's out. Easter eggs. Foods are out. We have 2 sports. And we have sleighing and golf. All right. And I thought somebody else. Is that all?
Yeah,
Is everything out?
Yeah.
And who is it on?
Me.
So Annabelle, have you said one?
No, I said the last one.
All right, so you got this.
Okay.
All right. Now somebody said Santa Claus. Somebody over here said Santa. That's right. All right, it's 9. Can you tell us 9?
Now, all of okay.
Yeah.
Santa,
Mm-hmm.
Harlem, Brooklyn,
Yeah.
sleighing, bowling,
2 more sports.
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs. You got one more food. I eat it on Saturday.
Waffles.
Waffles. I think you got one more sport. Yeah, one more sport.
Golf.
There we go. Very well done. All right. Congratulations. All right. And I'll give you your choice. You have this purple one. You got this blue one. You got this green one, but you get an asterisk on the green one because this is one that's stuck to the open red one. Well, what do you think right there? The purple. All right. Pretty good choice. I like purple. All right. Let's do 2 other things. Since everybody's sitting here and having to put up with me where everybody else is kicking back and so forth. All right, we have two very short YouTube videos that we could take a look at. All right, and so first we have, this song was taught to me in 3rd grade. It's about the Duke of York. All right, and it was when we sang it in my English class, and I always think of it when I'm teaching the Duke of York. All right, let's see. What if I put Duke of York song? I think. Let's see what we get. Yeah, there it is. All right. Very cute little song, and so you'll always remember it. Very inspirational as well.
We have a few more lucky people. Kareem Everett, Dawson Williams, David Williams, Caitlin Cherry. Please come to the front office. Thank you.
If anybody wants to check the context, I don't know if this has anything to do with the taking over of New Netherlands, but there is this song about the Duke of York.
Oh, the grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. And when they were up, they were up. And when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down.
They all marched up to the top of the hill with 1, 2, 3, 4 drilling their drill.
Oh, the grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. And when they were up, they were up. And when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down.
I mean, just think, you could have checked out, but then you would have missed that. I mean, you're welcome. All you folks watching at home, you know, the live version is so much better. All right, I have this one as well. So New York's got diversity, the most diversity, and so if I find like the New York accents, let's see, accents of the 5 boroughs, I think is what I need to do. Let's see if I get it. Yeah, this is it. All right, I really like, you know, the accents are pretty neat. All right, but, you know, you wouldn't have had the accents were it not for the diversity. This one lady has mastered all the accents.
Welcome to the 5 boroughs of New York accents by Bigwig. First you've got the Bronx, you know what I mean? The Bronx is dark, it's in the back of your throat. And you drop in your final R's and you have heavy initial emphasis on your consonants because the Bronx is a very tough borough. And so you go hey ho here, and then you punch your initial consonants. You got it? Because it's tough there, you know? All right. Brooklyn is more sing-song, and you have more up and down in your cadences. And the most important thing about Brooklyn is you need to masticate your vowels. And you elongate and masticate, you chew on your vowels, you enjoy your vowels. And then, you're more laid back than the Bronx. It's been, Brooklyn is a friendly community. And it's sort of like that, it's a nice place to live. Queens is more nasal. The thing with Queens is you live there, so you have to press into your nose because there's a pain living in Queens because it's so boring. Yeah. So you're there and you're living there and you're putting up with living there, and you tell your friends, I'm from Queens, I live here, and it's not fun. So that's what happens when you live in Queens, and if you want, you can press even more into your nose, depending on what part of Queens you live in. Staten Island is an amalgam of all the other boroughs put together. It's the most obnoxious of all the accents because it's the one closest to Jersey. Manhattan's really quick, you know what I mean? I don't really have a lot of time to get back to you. We're really rushed here and a lot of things to do. And I don't have any time at all. So the people talk really quickly and they're a little nervous and they're all kind of stressed out, like they've had 5,000 cups of coffee. So I'll have to get back to you next week and we'll get it together. Okay, I gotta go. Bye. Thank you.
All right, so there's our accents. All right, a little added bonus since we ended up coming to school. All right.
Edwin Rodriguez, Christiana Evans, Roger Garcia to the front office. Edwin Rodriguez, Christiana Evans, Roger Garcia to the front office.
All right, I will give away one Jolly Rancher. First person. All right, what do you got?
The meaning of Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love.
That is correct. All right, and all right. The Quakers are really interesting folks. Green or blue? Down goes Texas. Which one?
Blue.
All right. Not this one down 2 times. Very sturdy. The Quakers are interesting folks. They called themselves the Society of Friends. They didn't call themselves Quakers. And they're really, they're in so many ways just the opposite of the Puritans. So they believe that everybody was equal before God. And so because of that, these are going to be, when we say everybody's equal, that means Indians, that means African Americans, that means women. And so they're going to be some of our first abolitionists. The whites that were part of the Underground Railroad, when the Underground Railroad gets going in the 1800s, many of them are going to be Quakers. And so, Quakers had a lot of activists in Quaker history. Okay, because they believed everyone was equal before God, they didn't believe in having preachers. So if you have a preacher standing up at a podium up above everybody, he's kind of talking down to everybody. He's got a more direct access to God, like a pope or something like that. And so that's very unquakerish. And so, how does a Quaker service go? Well, we all sit here. It's nice and calm and quiet. Until what? Yeah, the Spirit fills somebody, and then, they can't help but stand up and say what's on their mind, and they get very animated.
Logan Goodwin, Emrick Henson, Annalise Conway. Logan Goodwin, Emrick Henson, Annalise Conway to the main office.
So the term is an insult. Other people called them Quakers because they felt like they acted silly. That their church services were silly. Silly for them to sit there and not have anybody preach and wait for somebody to get filled with the Spirit and that sort of thing. And they were persecuted both in England, because like the separatists, they're not doing what the king's telling them to do. They're not really Church of England folks. Persecuted in Massachusetts Bay. 2 or 3 Quakers were hung for being Quakers in Massachusetts Bay. Certainly thrown in jail or kicked out of Massachusetts Bay. And they didn't fight back, so they're pacifists. They believe in turn the other cheek. So the outlook of the Quakers is, it's just a much more gentler outlook than the kind of harsh outlook of the Puritans. The Puritans, very serious about what they're doing. So, both of them influence us in a certain way. The ideals that you're kind of getting out of Martin Luther King, he's no Quaker, he's Baptist, but, it's got that feel to it. Nonviolence, and, kind of standing up for the underdog that everybody else is not standing up for. I guess we said it the other day. What do we get from the Puritans? We get something in our culture from the Puritans. If you're living in the city on the hill, and it's supposed to be this perfect place, well, you're supposed to work hard. And you're supposed to be really, really, really godly. So again, the notion of a Protestant work ethic, and also, that song, this notion that anybody can have an impact on this thing because, there's a light within every person. but our tradition of the Protestant work ethic is really coming from the Puritans. This kind of progressive Christian traditions coming from the Quakers. Okay, so how does Pennsylvania history play out? Well, William himself, the founder, his dad treated him bad for being Quaker. Now, the king of England owed Dad money, and because the king owed him money, he gets a land grant. But Dad wasn't really a fan of the son, so the son kind of had a hard time. All right, Pennsylvania translates as Penn's Woodland. William Penn didn't like the name, didn't like Pennsylvania because he felt like, that was kind of arrogant. You don't put yourself up on a pedestal if you believe that everybody's equal before God. So he wasn't really a fan of the name, but of course, since he's the founder, and the running of the colony, at least for our time, was very consistent with his Quaker beliefs. It remains named after him. Okay, and then you've got the culture of the place. All right, so Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. Hey, Latin students, Fight Master fans, folks who have dealt with Latin at all. There's 3 kinds of love. What are the 3 kinds of love? Nobody? All right. We got if a man and a woman love each other, well, that's called eros, erotic love. The love of marriages and romance and that sort of thing. If you love all mankind, King talks about that quite a bit. So you may not particularly like the person that's talking to you, but you love him because he's part of mankind. That's called agape love. That's God's love for mankind. And people make an effort to have that kind of love for all mankind. And then the love of friendship is philos, fraternal love, and so Philadelphia is named after that. Filial love. And so Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. And, Penn wanted that to be practiced in his colony. So, like Roger Williams, you're generally speaking, the treatment of Indians not good in the colonies. Not good down in Jamestown. Really, really pretty bad up in Massachusetts. But the Quakers treated the Indians awfully well. And Penn trusted the Indians that he was dealing with so well, they sometimes used the Indians as babysitters, and he would sign and re-sign treaties over land. He would make sure he paid for land. And I was reading a book I was reading the other day said sometimes he would buy land twice. If he felt like there were 2 different tribes that had a claim to the same land, he'd make sure and pay both tribes. Initially, the story of Pennsylvania and the Indians is going to be kind of the happy story. All right, well, what goes on? Well, he let the Mackenzies in, and all folks like us, the Scotch-Irish. And the Scotch-Irish, if you know your history, and many of y'all are Scotch-Irish, white Southerners tend to not be British. White Southerners, there's some folks of British heritage in the South, but most folks in the South, most white Southerners, are Scotch-Irish, and we're known for being hot-tempered and kind of ornery and don't tell us what to do, and if you tell us what to do, we're going to get in a big fight with you. It's kind of the NASCAR, North Carolina, kind of the NASCAR outlook. Redneck might be, the term used by some. But because he had an open borders policy, so he lets the Scotch-Irish in. And the Scotch-Irish had failed, both in Scotland and Ireland, and just kind of angry folks, and wanted the land. And the Scotch-Irish mistreated the Indians, went to war on the Indians in order to get their land. So because he let in these 2 groups, or he was tolerant of these 2 groups that didn't like each other one bit, you get a big fight, and the warlike Scotch-Irish kind of pushed the Indians out. And when he died, the folks, the Pennsylvania authorities that came after him were not so good to the Indians. So there's a group of Indians that made a land treaty with the government, the later government of Pennsylvania. And the treaty said, okay, you can have as much land as you can walk in a day. So go walk as far as you can in a day, you can have that land. So what's the government do? Yeah, they sent a bunch of people who are like distance runners, the guys who are in best shape. And they all go running out in every direction as far as they possibly can. And get 4 or 5 times as much land as the Indians are expecting to get. And, when they claim, the Indians are shocked at the end of the day at just how much land that they've claimed. So kind of like with Oglethorpe, I mean, it lasts a little longer. With Oglethorpe, it's almost no time flat. All the idealistic parts of the colonial vision fall apart. As long as Penn's involved, you do have this kind of Quaker outlook, but that over time starts to fade, and especially regarding the Indians, doesn't go very well. Now, Quakers, like I said, Quakers end up being, they're pacifists and abolitionists, and the fact that they were pacifists was a problem for them back in England because they won't fight on the side of the army when there's going to be a war. It accounted for the fact that they felt like they had to be good to the Indians because they couldn't fight a war to take land for the Indians. That Quaker influence does last in a lot of different ways, but it also fades in other ways. All right, so there's our Quakers. All right, and let's see. I don't know, pretty much straightforward. Not so many questions that we need. Everybody take 10 seconds. Look at anything that you might not know. Okay. Let's see. All right. Miriam, start us off.
I need Brooke Landry to come check out, please.
Hi, everyone.
Goodbye, Brooke. Okay, she's on her way. Miriam, tell us something about Quakers.
They're open to more people than the Protestants are, and they got their name because they said that whenever they were in the Spirit, I think that's how you say it, or filled with the Spirit, they quaked or they shake.
That's right.
At their services, they didn't have a pastor or anything like that. Whenever someone was filled with the Spirit, they would just get up and talk.
That is right. Okay, Dad, tell me about Penn's dad. Jorge, tell me about Dad.
His dad was owed money, so the king gave him the land grant. But he also kind of hurt William because he flogged him.
Yeah, he was mean to the son, but he gave him land. Okay, Cohen was Philadelphia, Maine. All right. Robert, can you tell me the 3 types of love according to the
Agape, Philos, and
what's it called that men and women like each other? Over the east. Yeah, erotic. All right, eros. Okay, yeah, eros. All right, and the Indian policy and what happened? Race. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. All right, so you got the one thing where they send all the runners out to take as much land as they can. Yeah, the Scotch Irish are the ones who just come in and take it. And what are these kind of ornery Scotch Irish doing there? Well, Penn lets anybody in, and so let in 2 groups that didn't necessarily belong together. All right, I believe we have one more thing for that chapter. So let's see if I can. We've got an Indian thing. Oh well, here's the other stuff on more middle colony stuff. All right, got this one, and so we'll hit it right here. All right, let's see if I can give away. I don't think there's anything to give away there. All right. So the middle colonies. So see, the middle colonies. The 2 big ones are New York and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was not quite as tolerant as our Grand Poobah tolerance in the colonies, Rhode Island. Anybody could have any faith and have all the rights of everybody else in Rhode Island. Now, you could live there in Pennsylvania regardless of their faith. But you couldn't hold office if you're Catholic or Jewish. And that was to make the Church of England happy. That was to make England itself happy. The English government frowned on a completely open policy. So he's doing that to kind of keep the big man happy more so than because, they've got something against Catholics and Jews. So you do have that qualification on it, making it, like coming in number 2 behind Rhode Island in terms of being the most religiously tolerant place. So it would go Rhode Island, then Pennsylvania, Maryland for all Christians. But remember, in Maryland, these folks get the death penalty. You're not allowed to be these folks. Although nobody actually got the death penalty. But, it was legal to impose the death penalty for being not a Christian. So those are the 3 places that are going to have, make a point of religious toleration. All right. Let's see. Pennsylvania didn't have a military. All right, they're pacifists. To start off with, no slavery or immigration restrictions. That accounts for the Scotch-Irish there and the Indians being in the same place. They're going to have the 3rd largest population because you've got the open borders, basically. A lot of people are going to want to come there. And really, now, you always have unintended consequences in politics. Sometimes when something's really, really well-intentioned, it kind of backfires. So you have the problem the Indians have because of the Scotch-Irish. Slavery is accidentally going to start growing because if Pennsylvania is a big old place and it lets in anybody, what kind of person is going to be really, really, really likely to want to go there rather than staying put and waiting 7 years? Indentured servants. So there's pull factors on the indentured servants who leave, and so the plantation economy start running out of indentured servants, and so that's going to be one of the factors that influences them to start importing more and more African slaves who are not going to be able to leave, not going to when their time comes up. So anti-slavery, but in some ways accidentally encourage slavery, and not there, but in the plantation economy, right? Because a lot of people wanted to live there. All right, the other places. All right, there were initially 2 New Jerseys. There was West and East Jersey. 1702, they were combined. They're settled partially by Quakers. You saw that New Jersey is sitting right, latitude-wise, is sitting right beside Pennsylvania. So the Quakers shape all the middle colonies with the exception of New York. And both New York and Pennsylvania, have big-time diversity for economic or for religious reasons. Okay, Delaware, we know is named for that kind of military governor of Jamestown, De La Warr. But, a lot of the people that settle there, don't really match up to the mindset of De La Warr because he was a tough guy. So a lot of Quakers going there. The governor of Pennsylvania was kind of the chief executive of the Delaware Assembly, and so, when you were looking at your map right there, Delaware is just that little sliver kind of hanging off of Pennsylvania there. So it's almost, New Jersey is kind of almost like New York Junior, and Delaware is almost like Pennsylvania Junior. And here is, I guess the most famous guy we know from Delaware. Got to start in Delaware. Anybody else want to say anything else about Joe Biden? Have any other comments about Joe Biden?
Didn't he ride the train every day to Washington?
Yeah, that's very good. Known for being, Joe Sixpack, regular guy. If he had run for president, he grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And if you know your contemporary politics, Ohio and Pennsylvania, kind of your swing states, kind of your working class white states that are traditionally Democrat, Union voters, but voted Trump this time. And there were certainly those that wanted him to run for president because he appeals to working class voters in a way that Clinton didn't appeal to working class voters. And one of his stories was the story of being a regular guy and riding the train into Washington, D.C., and going back to Delaware, back home, to the family rather than riding on some fancy jet, something like that. But really known for being kind of the regular guy kind of politician. And he is now on at least technically, officially on the part of the faculty at Pennsylvania, at Penn, not Penn State, but at Penn, where William Long is. And William is studying foreign policy there, and his job is to be one of the foreign policy advisors. So, I don't know, sometimes some fancy person will be officially a part of a university and never show up, and just like an honorary thing. So, I don't know if William's going to be working with Joe Biden or not, but they're officially at the same place there. But he's a Delaware guy, and Delaware being so small that's Biden's really the only thing I know about Delaware. Other thing I know about Delaware, it's got one electoral vote. If you're really, I'm sorry, one representative, 3 electoral votes. So there's 5 states that only have one representative based on their population. And they're all the big states out west where nobody lives. So Alaska, the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming. So big, giant places with very little bitty population density. But Delaware is the only place up in the Northeast that's so small that only gets one representative. All right. And then we got the generalization to make about the middle colonies. One thing we did, I don't believe we got it up on a picture up there on the slide, Quaker oats. So if the southern colonies, Chesapeake and below, plantation economies, big giant farms, exporting either tobacco or rice to start off with. New England, small farms, and it's the more industrial section. TFF, what does that stand for? Timber, fish, and fur. The middle colonies are a combination, so there's some of that industry there. They're producing certain things. But more farming, but smaller farms, and they're growing grains. It's Quaker oats, and oatmeal and that sort of thing. That's not accidental connection to, a grain cereal kind of company. That's what they grew in the middle colonies. All right. As we said, the governments tend to be tolerant. Both New York, really all of them, very tolerant. Diverse populations. Philadelphia is a port city, just like New York was. So Philadelphia's got both things going. It's got all the people coming in, buying and selling stuff off of the boats, plus the Quaker government. And New York, for reasons of trade. Most of the folks have middle-sized farms, but New York was more aristocratic, so more of a top-down kind of government. They're tolerant, but a few folks at the top. Patroonships. I think somebody put something on some quiz about it. And if you had a patroon, that was the big landholding first in the New Netherlands and then New York. All right, so that's the general things to say about the middle colonies then. All right, so we kind of have a picture of the colonies. All right, Start there. I don't think we need to talk anymore about Pennsylvania. Start there, the last 3. All right, turn to each other and talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
New Jersey.
West and East Jersey.
Delaware.
There's a bunch of Quakers under the governor of Pennsylvania. Industrialized like the north.
Wait, and what?
They're allergic to tar. Pennsylvania.
Never mind,
Okay, let's do this. There is one other section of chapter 3 in American Pageant, chapter 2 in narrative history, setting up the section of the colonies. And by the time you finish those chapters and those books, you have a picture of the colonies. There's one more thing to talk about before we get to, the official beginning of the chapter that we're all to have read to, and you won't have a new chapter to read. So, and by the time we start on Wednesday, everybody needs to have had, let's see, let me make sure I'm speaking correctly. The Colonial Society chapter is chapter 4 in American Pageant, and it's chapter 3 in narrative history. All right, really, and American Pageant has 2, and it may be true in narrative history as well. It's got 2 culture chapters, colonial society chapters, 1 to 1700, and then one after 1700. So it looks to me, based on the time, that we may not get going on any colonial society because I've got a thing to do with Indians right quick before we get going on that. But why don't you turn and I think we may have talked about it, maybe in 5th period or maybe in regular class, I can't remember. But the grand poobah of all questions coming out of the 13 colonies is for whatever reason, they kind of assume that we get the middle colonies. It's a Venn diagram of New England and the Chesapeake. And have y'all started on that? Have we done anything with that? I don't see any miraculous. All right, so get together with somebody, sitting next to them, and get you a sheet of paper, and both of you, let's work on a Venn diagram of New England and the Chesapeake. But that question shows up on the test, on AP test, on just a very regular basis.
Tia Hernandez, please come to the main office to check out.
Thought you were checking out.
Grace.
Because he can't get back to football.
Sydney Wright, please come to the main office, and Nehemiah Louise.
Let's see. Y'all talk to each other about it for about 2 minutes, and then we'll kind of work on it together a little bit. I think we have a last thing to do here. One thing you can do if you're feeling pretty good with a Venn diagram, you can go ahead and draw a line down the middle of it and go ahead and kind of establish 2 separate categories. If you're feeling pretty confident, with the subject matter. It's kind of up to you whether or not you feel okay with that or not.
Yeah, Chesapeake's like Virginia.
Chesapeake is Virginia. It's Jamestown and Maryland. Yeah, Virginia and Maryland. Carolinas doesn't make the cut. Once you get below Virginia, it's the southern colonies.
South. I feel pretty decent about that. You already know. So we're talking about like New England, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like
Massachusetts.
So yeah, but needs cattle.
Okay, now we can take a long time on it, but I want to go kind of quick because I want to look at this last little section. It's the last section that we hadn't looked at prior to colonial society. All right, so I think on this one the categories are pretty straightforward. There's going to be two categories. What do you got?
Religion.
Yeah, and I think this year they're kind of calling it culture, but yeah, it's a religious deal. And then the other one's going to be what?
Economic.
Yeah. All right, and then you got to decide what you want to put in the middle. So in New England, that's going to be Puritan, and it's Puritan. Tell me something else about the importance of the Puritans in this.
They're intolerant.
All right, they're intolerant, and they're also kind of anti-British, right? I mean, they're purifying the Church of England. So there's going to be, maybe controversy concerning the Puritans, and it's a religious reason for settlement. That's why they're coming, is for religious reasons. So a lot of very religiously specific things to it. On the intolerant, you get like an egg statement you can throw in, like Rhode Island. You got a couple qualifications you can put in there. You can put in that Rhode Island's tolerant. And it may be that you put something in the middle that says, well, at least part of both of these places are settled for economic reasons. And the place in New England that's settled for economic reasons is, maybe we put it right here, what?
New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire. So New Hampshire, would go in the middle, with the economic reasons for settlement down here. All right. What's the faith of the Chesapeake? Who are these people? You hear absolutely nothing about religion when we're reading about Jamestown.
Anglican.
Yeah, this is the Church of England. Anglican. So there's no controversy there. They're coming for economic reasons, trying to make they're not surviving in the starving time and the Powhatan and all that sort of thing. But this is not a religious story. It's not a story of somebody trying to break off from the official established religion of England. They're just fine with that. Coming for economic reasons, and so maybe Rhode Island. I'm not going to say that they're particularly tolerant. It's just not a religious controversy. Okay, economics over here are really coming for economic reasons, but they've got the TFF over here. It's more industrial, the industry of the time, the timber, fish, and fur. Okay. You got New Hampshire in the middle. That's something in common with them. Anything else in the middle? What else can you put in the middle? I guess we've used it maybe once. I think we're going to use it when we get into the society chapters. What is the economic purpose of both of these things?
Mercantilism.
Yeah, you got this mercantilism thing going here. So I guess we put it in the economic. But both of them exist economically for the sake of the mother country. The tobacco gets turned into cigarettes, and used for recreational purposes in England, even though King James says, hey, it's really terrible for you. But it's got to be, it's a cash crop because people are buying it in Britain. This stuff is being bought in Britain, and, the existence of the colony is for the mother country.
I need Maria Grace to the attendance office, please.
So these people, at least originally, from the point of view of the colonies, they're importing more than they're exporting, because the key to mercantilism is the mother country exports more than they import in order to assure a profit. All right, so the existence is mercantile. All right, now there's more to be said in the compare and the contrast in the society chapters, but it's a nice look right there. All right, let's see if we can take 5 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever we got, and set up a little bit of trouble for New England right here. All right.
That's 155. We will go back to homeroom. We do have men's pies and juice at different locations throughout the school. And we will report to homeroom at the Bell, where we will view the live streaming from the email link that I sent out earlier. Dr. Taylor has also sent out another link. So we will be from inside and teachers have unique classes. You can check them out from there. Just like those one at a time outside of the certified classes provided for you. And at the Bell, we will go out to homeroom and we will remain in homeroom until dismissal.
Okay. So up to this point, the score on the Indians is something like 2-2, right? Let's see. The Powhatan, that didn't go well. Pennsylvania was kind of happy. Rhode Island was kind of happy. Do we have any other Indian stories that we've told yet? So it's like 2-1 in favor of happy stories so far. Huh? So we have these two specific stories. So the Pequot War, that, I've referenced. I don't think we've written anything down about it. So these are the Pilgrims. What happened was, so it's in the Plymouth area, and a couple of Pequot Indians killed a settler. And so, what's the name of the governor of, the 39 times elected governor guy? Bradford. All right, Bradford and the Pilgrims go after them, and they have some Indian allies in the Narragansett. And they go to this village and they just burn the thing out. And women and children are dying right there. And Bradford says two things about it. On the one hand, it was it smelled. He was troubled by the smell of the burning flesh. But on the other hand, the Lord had given the Pilgrims a great victory. And so, just a big massacre of the Pequots. All right, then you've got this one right here, King Philip's War. Now, his Indian name is Betacom, but the settlers call him King Philip. And he's like the grandson of, not Squanto, but what's the other guy's name? Massasoit. All right, and he had seen this happen. So he and the tribes on his side realized, well, they got to unify. The unity is going to be a key. If they don't unify, they're never going to be effective. All right, and so you have in 1675 on into 1676, and the number of people killed is not all that high compared to other wars, but the percentages of people killed is really high, perhaps even higher than any other American war. By 1676, they've captured King Philip and they executed him. They cut off his head and they put his head on a pike for everybody to see. Okay, make sure you've read your society chapter. I think it's been assigned to you for a day, so it won't be a new chapter if you've read that. For next time, I don't know. One or the other. It's quizzable. Let's see what else.